All right, we'll call to order the Public Works and Utility Committee meeting. Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, 5:01 PM, Lisbon Village Hall. Roll call, please.
Committee Chair Moonen,
Present.
Vice Chair Beal. Here. Member Miller. Here. Member Everly,
Here.
Engineer Neitzel,
Here.
Utility Accountant Sergeant,
Here.
Administrator Nicholas. Here. Interim DPW Director Nick. I'm
Here.
checking on your name. Nick is here. Clerk Capazzo Catch to record the minutes, and Member Plus is absent and excused.
All right, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Did she announce you? Oh, sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, citizen comments, seeing nobody in public or present in person. Anyone on Zoom?
No one on Zoom.
Nobody on Zoom.
Sure.
The 2/21/2024 meeting minutes are in your packet. Anyone have any questions or clarifications? If not, I would look for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of February 21st, 2024.
Approved by Jane, want a motion by Jane, seconded by Mr. Everly. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, or I should ask for nays. Hearing none, motion passes forward. All right, moving on to departmental reports. For those of you that weren't watching at the last meeting, we have a new Department of Public Works Director, Nick Willikowski. Got it?
Yeah,
Chomsky, it's not Chomsky.
The H is silent, if I
yeah.
remember.
Really?
Nick took over on Friday. So, those of you that are not familiar with him, now you can introduce yourself.
Pronounce your last name?
Willikowski.
Willikowski. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I guess I'll do a quick little thing. I've been with the Village of Lisbon for 5 years as a labor operator. Joe hired me 5 years ago and been at it here and enjoying it and excited for the new position, the new step. So looking forward to the future.
All right. Well, with that, you get to present Joe's probably final report for February 2024.
All right, so February was pretty quiet for snowfall. More small snow events, slushy, so went out a handful of times, and between those, we cleaned the trucks and everything, but we primarily did a lot of tree cutting due to storm damage from that really big storm in January. A lot of work done in Thousand Oaks and Woodland Oaks, all the trees in there, a lot of them got bananaed and everything and hitting the truck, so we spent a lot of time in there cleaning up and a lot of time on plain view cutting. We did a lot of sod damage repairs while the weather was nice, so primarily what we did. And then Parks have been working on their office space and their break room, turning out really well, so I know they've been working pretty hard with that. And all right, that's it.
All right, seeing that we're having snow possibly Thursday, right? Thursday into Friday morning,
Mhm.
believing that people do watch this event, make sure to slow down and leave yourself some extra time to get to work. All right, utility district, Don.
All right, good evening. My report should be in your packet. For the month of February, flows for lift stations. Janine, Plainview and Willow Springs flows were still up a little bit again with warm weather and rain. As I mentioned, if you look at the Look at the graphs, flows did start to come down towards the end of the month. We're getting back to normal a little bit. It is obviously early in the year for this, but flows were coming down at the end of the month. Any questions on the flows? One thing that was brought up was the rainfall. Where we got that information from. We did reach out to Sussex. Sussex actually pulls the rainfall data from the DNR. So that's where we're pulling it from now.
But from where?
I don't have the name of the site with me, but that's where they're,
Yeah.
I thought they did their own,
They
right?
used to, but once again.
Yeah, that Matt in my office has the email. I'll check and see exactly where they're pulling it from off of there, but that's what they told them.
So I don't even think the airport, well, depending on where they're grabbing it. the airport-
Yeah. I've got some questions on flows, primarily Richmond. It continues to boggle my mind what the heck is going on. And you can see right there for February, a prime example of something is wrong. That's a Sunday.
What's
I
the
mean,
date?
the 25th is a Sunday,
Okay.
the 26th is a Monday. And I mean, there's no rhyme or reason for these flows. What's going on with? What's the latest from them, what they're doing?
In terms of any update with them televising the sewer, I don't have anything from Ed on that. I was able to get flow information for their well. So we looked at this a little bit more. First off, I got an update where they're at population wise. I mean, the school's 424 students. And they got about 60 staff in there. So at about 25 gallons per day per person. I mean, the flows are, they should be right around, I think I figured them at about 484. 484. Well, 12,100 if you did 25 gallons per day per person. I was surprised when they said 424 students in there. I didn't think it was anywhere near that. And this was talking to the admin staff in the office.
How many students? 425?
424, she said, and she said approximately 60 staff. And I did confirm it was just for Richmond School. So again, you do the math, it'd be about 12,000 gallons. But then I got their flow information for their well, which Sussex does pull. I wasn't able to confirm if they maintain it or if they just read it. I believe they just read it. And the flows are nowhere near that.
Exactly, I mean, I just don't wanna,
So
we need to incentivize them to get going on this stuff. Because it's a huge problem and that leads to other things as far as flows. Have you got any, because it leads with this, any update on the flow meter from the fire station?
the
2
flow,
months ago?
yeah, that's back to normal. So that, I got that right here.
I mean, is that flow meter accurate? Wherever
Well-
it is?
I got Casey's here too, I'll bring up as well. The fire station. The fire station to begin January of 23, they were at 5,200 gallons for the month. By May, they were at 15,000, by December, they were at 33,000. Now. To come back to. Start of January 2024, they're back to 6,000 gallons.
Okay,
February, they're at 2,400 gallons, so
somehow or another, we gotta rectify it. Who owes what?
is there a good person to contact at the fire station other than the fire chief or assistant chief or? For what?
I would, were you looking at going in there and taking a look? at-
Well, no, just to ask them, I mean, has there been issues there, work done? Cause what I'm about to bring up with Casey's, you're not gonna believe either, but
I know they haven't had anything, because anything that's major, they would have spoken with me about.
okay.
Or maybe they wash the trucks a lot?
Not,
No,
not that's gonna come out to that.
okay. Just a question.
My concern is two things. Number one, the flows to Richmond are way out of whack. And something somewhere is getting, II is getting into the system. That's number one. Number two, the proportional share between the fire station and Richmond is out of whack. And we're paying, the village is paying an inordinate amount, according to these flows, of the percentage between the fire station and the school. I mean, it's coming right out of our pocket.
What was the peak flow for the fire station?
The peak flow last year was. The highest it got last year for the fire station was 45,900 in October. But like I say, after December was 33,600, and all of a sudden in January, it's down to 6, so
I mean,
if nothing's going on there, that meter, yes, the meter needs to be.
I thought somebody was gonna have Sussex, is Sussex maintaining and checking that meter? And where is, I mean,
The fire station?
yeah,
No.
They're reading it,
okay, where is the meter physically located?
that I'd have to look.
Water meter?
Lower part.
Is there someone in the fire station like daily?
Yes.
Or is there a way that Joe and I could get in there like after work someday?
Michelle
Well,
was usually
you
there.
could Get in there, because I could. Open the door.
Well, it would be a matter of making sure we knew where the meter was.
I can find them. You know,
I mean- Yeah, that's fine. Something.
What are you guys looking for?
Something
What kind of
somewhere is
meter?
wrong, big time, and if we're, I don't know what the agreement is, I forgot what it was last time, that 25% of the bill is being paid for by the village and 75% is being paid for by Richmond.
60/40.
What is it?
the 60/40.
For the usage, it's billed on the actual metered flows that Sussex bills us, so that passes through. For repairs, it's split 65-35.
It's
65
wrong.
Richmond?
65 goes to the school, yeah.
We have no basis for those numbers. And we're talking about a significant dollars.
In terms of how the wastewater flows are generated for Richmond, I asked that to Sussex, and Dustin, he's a newer guy at Sussex. He needs to get back to me, and I'm hoping to see something.
Well-
Yeah, I mean, if they're metering it after,
Well, it's not even, I think it's more calculated than anything. And I don't think there's a,
So if there's an actual flow meter, there are periodic testing that needs to happen to your
calibrations.
flow meter.
Right,
And so if that's kind of a no man's land, that might be the first place to start.
he's saying their flows don't show up on their SCADA there, so it's not generated from a flow meter. So that's why he was gonna go back and talk with Dennis, and if I had talked with Dennis, I would have got a straight answer.
He's estimating what they should use.
They're calculating it somehow, whether it be off a runtime or.
I don't know what they would like. Because in most cases, they'll be have people there and we will be Friday.
Go by
Oh,
there.
you're talking about the fire station. I'm talking about Richmond School.
Richmond School, they're not there much on the weekend.
Right.
You know, the fact that they are, that. Whatever they do, people.
I think the easy thing to do is square away the fire department first. I mean, we have access, we can,
And if that meter hasn't been looked at in God only knows how many days, months, years, it needs to be done like yesterday, and then we need to find out about Richmond's meter. They should be going off of metered flows, and the disparity between the well meter, that needs to be checked whether or not that one's accurate. I mean, this whole thing is, we're moving nowhere. In the last 3, 4, 6 months, we've been dealing with this.
Well, I talked with Aqua Well and Pump, and they're able to go out and meter that well at Richmond. It's just a matter of. Do we just go out and do it, or do we get approval from the school, or how do you wanna? They wanna go out and inspect it before they do anything. to
I
it.
think we need, meaning the village of Lisbon needs to tell Richmond School, they need to get their meter working and get us a piece of paper from somebody who's licensed that says that meter is working on the well. That's number one. Number two, the meter, there should be a meter on that pump station. And we need to verify that that one is accurate. Then we, meaning the village, needs to take care of the meter for the fire station. And once we get those things working, which should be done like yesterday, then we're talking about real numbers. But based upon these flows from the pump station, obviously something's wrong with the school. There's no question about that, and we've been getting nowhere with that for months.
So is there a meter in where our pumps are that we just replaced?
There's not a flow meter on that lift station that gets reported back to Sussex now. That's what I was getting at. So Sussex, Dennis, or Dustin was gonna talk with Dennis and get back to me how they formulate the flows for that lift station.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the process. It's not.
Could you give us a summary of
Yeah, I'm supposed to hear.
from well through station, through the pipe, all the way to where we get charged?
Right,
I mean, they should be able to tell us that.
right. I'm supposed to have that yet this week.
Okay.
And we need to eventually adjust the percentage between the village and the school. And going forward, for a number of reasons that things may be changing in the future. I just think that somehow or another. I'm really concerned that the village has been overpaying for
Yeah.
a significant
Can-
amount of time.
For the next meeting, can you pull the agreement for the split? Was that agreement with the sanitary district or was that,
And very
okay? Can we get the committee information on, even if it's beforehand, not that we're gonna discuss it, but at least get the information on what agreement was put in place and why that split is what?
Do you happen to have any of the old files with how that system went in?
We dug through them. I can dig through them again.
I just, well, in my head, I'm thinking we want to know what the well flows are, and we also want to know how it's metered or how it's calculated. If there's any kind of even temporary flow metering that we could do to verify some of this stuff for a period of time.
Yeah, that's what we did on Janine when we found out that issue was we had temporary meter on there.
I just don't know how that sewer's laid between the school and.
And then also an update. And we need a time schedule from Richmond School. I don't know if that comes from here to Richmond or from you to Richmond about their timetable for determining where the flows are coming from and what they plan on doing about it. We can't keep going on for another 12 months on this.
But I think we have to verify what the flows actually are. Is it a meter problem or
Or
is
is
it
it a well
actually the flow?
Right.
And it might be a combination of both, but I think we have to verify those meters before we can go.
Well, and I'm also concerned about how the village of Lisbon is being charged by the village of Sussex for the flow that's coming down Richmond Road. If they're calculating that on paper instead of by flow meter, we're getting screwed. Big time.
I'm supposed to hear that yet this week.
So is there a way to put a temporary meter in the outfall, the new outfall? By that subdivision that we could just meter the.
Yeah, that's how we did Janine. Yeah, you can put a flow meter right in that pipe and
Starting point.
Well, I mean, I guess if you put it that far down, you're gonna have to account for, is there infiltration in the pipe from?
There shouldn't be on the force main though. You already know the force
Why
main.
wouldn't you put more west, like more west?
no really gravity pipe to put it at all.
You generally you put the temporary flow meters in the gravity system. So it would be the outfall at the end would capture all, well, whether it's I and I or.
And then you work your way back towards the pump station, back towards the building. And
At least so you'd have just comparison to know what is being reported on the Sussex end to what we're finding.
Like I say, if you look at the amount of people that she stated they have there, I mean, now the flows make a little bit more sense what you're seeing on paper.
Well, only for the school, but not.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I question even in the school at those flow rates, because when that pump station was put in initially, and I'll state it 10th time, the children, the students in there were told by the superintendent to leave the water running in the bathrooms all day long. Because there was an odor problem where it discharged into the business park on the east side of 164, because it was driving those people in that HVAC shop out of there. Because by the time it got there, it was so darn ripe. So Dennis Cruz came up with this brilliant idea. We'll just let the water run, they'll dilute it.
Oh, my gosh. I've never heard that before.
Well,
Wow.
I have some charges to move forward and bring back to the
Good.
committee. So I've got a couple of things, but the question about who should, I mean, you're gonna be. I would be happy to write a letter, a follow-up letter, because remember you charged me with a letter to send to the school district, to the school to let them know we wanted these things done. I could do a follow-up and say, you know, through this letter on this day, could you tell me where you are?
Has any feedback come from them?
No. I haven't heard anything.
I mean, we've gotten, Ed's got me whatever they've televised and they've done that, and that's really. They had an odor issue in the school, they had that looked at, but as far as any smoke testing or looking at roof drains or anything, they haven't done any of that yet.
Yeah,
I think in the letter we gave them 2024 to do it, but do we have a schedule from them yet?
I mean, they're a school, they're not in the public works business. I understand that this Ed, I understand is a great guy, but the fact of the matter is, this is not the only thing that he does. They need to be incentivized to get something going on this thing and spend the time and money to do it, because it's costing a lot, but
Usually in our experience, the school runs real slow on doing stuff. You really have to push them.
well,
I used to have to go there a couple times just to get to do something, sit down with the principal.
well, it's not the principal, it's the superintendent, and the fact
Right.
of the matter is that unless somebody lights a giant fire under the butt, nothing's gonna get done.
Well, I guess why don't you follow up with a letter and ask them if they received it and then if they have any official, stance or progress on it.
And then I'll also bring back that.
Great, thank
Then we'll
you.
also look at the fire department.
And then one of the last things with flows was Casey's. There was an issue with that being brought up about their flows went through the roof. 2023, they went anywhere from 19,000 gallons to 28,000 gallons throughout the year. January of this year, they were at 214,000 gallons.
Jesus.
Then in February, they're at 195,000.
Oh my gosh.
I dealt with their engineer in January, never really got a response. They did say they had a well issue, but I didn't know if their well contractor used a ton of water or what. I called Arc Design, who did the site plan for them. They went a different route. They found out after the well issue, they left the spigot running for a little while, and then supervisor owner, somebody called, told them to close the spigot. They're claiming that they left the spigot running the whole time, which I can't believe. You'd have something running for 2 months and nobody would notice it, but that's the explanation I got today. She told me you'll, based on what they told her, that our flows will look real different in March because they turned it off
Inside the building or outside?
outside, from what I understood.
So that doesn't go into
He's
the
investigating, so.
That's based off of their well reading. That's how they're built for their sewer. So yeah, it wouldn't have gone down. Well, I guess I'll confirm that, but
Well, that's the agreement on how they get charged.
right.
You would think that they went from a business standpoint would be concerned about this instead of just blowing it off and saying, oh, we're about to be 2 months.
If, if we wouldn't have called on it, they didn't even, nobody had any knowledge. of it.
Well, do we know for a fact that they are being billed for that excess
Yes.
flow?
We get them.
Must be a lot of money being made back, so.
So, I guess aside from that, Richmond School Lift Station, the new pump went in to start February, and then the second pump got put in by February 12th. With that, I did have Brabazon run some tests on it after it went in. They put both pumps in, let it pump against the force main. Pressure gauges were reading 60 PSI. For it to pump down 1 foot, it took 4 hours and 25, or 4 minutes and 25 seconds for each pump. To pump down a foot. So then what we did is we had them go and there's a bypass hookup just where everything manifolds together. We had them hooked up there and just pump it back to the lift station, basically take the force main off of it. PSI dropped to 40. And everything pumped a hell of a lot smoother. So that's kind of telling you right there that force main, whether it be plugged or whether it be air. That's part of the issue. So. Any questions on that? So at this point, we got 2 new pumps in there. Pump number 2, the existing one they took out, was too far gone to even repair. And then when we had that first quote, he had pump number 1, he had an estimate of $3,950 to repair it when a new one was $4,500, so
Oh my gosh.
We're wearing those pumps out, trying to pump up against.
every 2 years. Over 2 years,
Isn't there a standby pump too?
not for this one.
Not for this?
So that's what we're talking about, repairing them.
Right. Oh, I know. Oh,
Any questions on Richmond School? Other questions? Hearing none, Business Park East, I don't have anything further to update. I didn't follow up with the contractor, but still waiting final payment request from them. And to confirm that the hydrants had the markers put on them.
We have problems with the water going over the.
The ditch, we were out there today, we were shooting grades to see on right where Leeds Lane comes up and meets with Main Street on the west side of the road. Either that ditch settled out, there is water collecting there along the west side of the road. And then also that development, my guys went up, when they were out there shooting today, the development just to the west on Richard Road side. They got 2 or 3 storm sewer outfalls that all discharge that way, so. Yeah. Like, okay, so I was gonna bring that up to Mitch when they did their site interview, that where that really intended to go. So the guys were out today, they were shooting stuff, so we'll take a look at that. But the way it looks, almost the ditch either settled out or something's up with the culvert at that north southwest corner. The water's just not making it to the culvert.
Do we have, answers on the lights? That needs.
I'd have to check with Mitch that I don't have. Yeah.
Do we know if Pete's Ranch is physically hooked up yet?
I haven't heard myself. I
If
haven't
you
heard
could, look in, if there's sewer and water and storm sewer hooked up yet.
Pizza ranch.
mhm.
Now, if somebody's in there screwing around with plumbing and all of a sudden you end up with a big giant. There, that's happened sometimes. Construction.
We do not have a meter. For a piece ring, they're not that far, they're only actually, they did get their plumbing in and their. So. they haven't, you know, when they follow the meter, it's pretty close to the part of the property.
It's normally when they get occupancy, yeah.
We know they're gonna open up April something, isn't it? Oh, I thought it was end of April?
That was their goal.
Yeah,
They don't have a parking lot, they don't have an outside, I mean, all they got up is the shell of the building, and there's only 2 guys working at that whole thing when I went by yesterday or the day before. And,
They've got it for spring.
well, I think it's gonna be more like June.
Vermeer, just so you know, Vermeer. Changing hands going to, they will have occupancy by the end of the month. And then they'll have their opening, the grand opening.
Hardly any flow coming out, that's the thing. They've got a couple of toilets. Oh, yeah, that was shit.
Building.
But I noticed that ditch when I drove down that way, because I was heading down the other end, so I just drove in there. There's something wrong there somewhere.
Yeah, Nick had brought that up to us, so yeah, we scheduled the guys there all today. But just looking at the pictures, you can see the water's not making that forward, so.
Any other questions on business parties?
All right, manhole and sewer repairs, I did speak with Vision Sewer, right now they got it on the books for late April, early May. Obviously weather dependent, but that's where he's got it right now. Sewer system maps, no update for that, no changes or anything in the last month.
Are those essentially as far as you can go right now?
That's just as far as it is, if anybody's got changes, revisions. Mike brought something up to me before about some people that are either being billed or not being billed. I don't know if something's gotta change, but. Yeah, I mean, we could do whatever updates there are.
If you could run me a hard copy of those, I think. See them.
Okay.
Have you done the link?
Huh?
Have you tried the link?
Yeah, but you can't see that much on the little screen. What this is. I need a system to see where things are.
Is that, so that link that you sent us previous, does that update? Or do we have to keep asking for a new link?
Why is it, did it time out?
No, I'm just, is it
Oh.
locked or does it, when you guys update something, does it automatically?
No,
update?
when we update, it should update.
Okay.
Yeah, Yeah.
Isn't it just on the village website?
No, we didn't.
It links to
I thought we didn't post it on the village website,
the sewer service, right?
the map with all the.
The map will, the system map,
Oh,
will
no,
help.
not the system. just the sewer service.
Yeah, I just wanna see.
yeah.
wouldn't that be on there though?
Not necessarily.
No, you don't want
Not
that?
on, you want everything turned on,
Yes,
on one map.
unless you wanna split them, I don't care, whatever you wanna do.
We'll see what it looks like, like on a 24 by
I trust your
36.
judgment when you
Okay.
look at it.
Okay,
That's split and split.
but yeah, it should update as we update if there's any updates.
Just a quick question. You had mentioned just a little while ago about, we're talking to Mike, there's some people paying or not paying again.
He brought that up before. I didn't even look at it with
Is
him.
there another issue?
No, I got a request from Kathy about asking about certain properties, whether they're being billed or not.
Oh.
And the one thing that struck me is there were three properties were asked about are on Forest Hill, and we only have one billed customer on Forest Hill.
Oh. One of the former commissioners lives.
Yep.
in Forest.
That's the billed customer.
Oh, my gosh.
I had looked at the map. What I did this week was I went through and I looked at the map and I found on the map, I found some areas that were white, but had pipe in front of the building. So I said, these 4 or 5, we just look at them and see what, if we're building. Then I found others that had no pipe near them. But they were marked as being paying. So, or on the system. So because the pipe was in front of the neighbor's property, and then their property was here. There was no road with a pipe next to it. Anywhere, it was like 4 of them. And so I just asked them to just review them for me and see if we need to clean up the map a little bit more, or if we actually missed. There's some, people that are still marked as white with a pipe in front of them.
What area is that in that you're talking about?
Pardon me,
What area?
if they're all over
Okay.
the,
Okay.
there might be one up here and one there.
Wouldn't that have been caught though, when you went through all that, the whole system, Mike? Or no?
We went through based on the information that we had. Where did the maps that are now being produced, the only map we had was the as design map, so.
Mm.
Could be a difference of where the pipe is now than from where it was designed to be.
Cause I know there are some that have gone through backyards, one into a ditch, that's, I was kind of wondering.
But then you would see the pipe.
Hmm.
The pipe would show that there's a pipe that goes there,
Well, this was way after the fact.
but now we don't have anything there, but they're on the system. So
Okay,
if we're paying them and they're on they're paying and they're on the system, then it's right. We just don't show if they're doing a lateral through the neighbor's property all the way back to their property. We
Mhm.
just don't have that.
okay.
But
In some of them, depending on where these are at, it might be where people have their laterals going into a manhole rather than a sewer pipe. Because at that point, when they televise, they're not gonna note that there's a lateral in the main, which is where we're picking it up. So some of them, I even brought that up to Matt when he was doing the GIS. I said, I wonder, some of these, we should probably go and pop manholes and verify if some of these got laterals coming in manholes. So that could be this. I don't know where these are, but
I was just cleaning up. It was just, and it might have been cleaned up already. You might have looked at them and said, oh, yeah, these are right. Or this, So I just wanted, it took some time to look through the map because somebody asked me a question about the map. So I took it out.
So what do we have to do to get to the point where we are 100% certain that everybody in the sewer service area is correctly labeled? Paying,
I think if there's a list of ones in question, at that point, like I say, we can go out and physically look in manholes and see, is there a lateral in this manhole that
And where does it go?
would make sense to that.
and I'm not even talking just that, I'm talking 100%
Yeah.
true service area accountability,
Mhm.
like whether they're hooked up, not hooked up, paying, not paying. And then the map reflects that.
Mhm.
We were very close. These were the 9 that I had questions about.
Sure.
Otherwise, I think we're very close.
It's
The only other way
possibility,
that we can find out exactly where the pipes are is when we televise, that we mark where the laterals are.
Because at this point, we've probably gone through over the course of the last, I think we've been doing this for 5 or 6, 7 years. We've gone through those televised records probably 3 or 4 times and looked at laterals versus what we had for maps and most recently we're doing the GIS map, this last version. So anything that was televised that showed there were laterals going out, we've marked on that map.
but there's no proof that there aren't. Somebody's tied into somebody and there's only one
Exactly.
connection. That we will not know without extensive investigation and getting into people's houses. It could very well be I'm running my house from here to the manhole, but his house is hooked into my lateral going out to there and he's not getting billed.
Kind of like the guy that tapped into the neighbors, not here.
Yeah.
Neighbors electric to heat his pool.
Ah,
And so the neighbor didn't know he was paying for the.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was his own line.
Wonder why the steam was coming out of the swimming pool in the room when Marco caught that guy too. But all of them said, you got a very good question, Mark, but the problem is that unless you go through there and inspect people's houses, you won't know. And we have a right to do that because it's called midnight plumbing.
You're never gonna get into all those ones. It's impossible.
I think I mean, I think we're getting really close on what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We are so far, so much better than we were when we first met. When we had our first set of maps and we were like, this doesn't make any sense. So we are very close. That's why I threw out these 9 because I had questions on them and that's.
Sure, I mean, I guess, is it a realistic expectation that we're gonna get to 100% accountability?
No.
Is that acceptable?
You're gonna get 9.
Depends how far you wanna go and what we want to spend for time and effort to get to that point. Because what's gonna. Somebody could come as an example, and I've seen this happen before. My grinder pump just pooped out. I want it fixed or replaced. Geez. Where are you connected? You are on the list.
So it's a possibility that we might have this 1%.
And unfortunately, we can only go back 2 years for the attorney to bill.
Yeah, but not even talking about money.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that. I'm just saying it's
Now.
information. Yeah.
I think if you still have a handful that are in question, there's a better opportunity to get into those homes and dye test or whatever we could do, but.
I mean, you could get into, whether it's televising, just setting up a camera and see if you've got an active ladder, but that's all. I mean,
Right, there's a juice worth the squeeze at that point.
But you can get in there and with a 5-gallon bucket and some dye, you can determine in very short order, a matter of minutes, whether or not somebody is connected legally.
Yeah.
You know, and
People do not want you in there.
Yeah, but we have a right. we
I
have a
get,
right to
I
go.
get you have
Yeah.
a right.
I know
but
what
to
you're talking
actually
about,
make
Jim.
that
Yeah.
happen,
It's because we have to balance, I would say we have to balance the, the 99% to 100 with the costs that it would take to actually review every property and see if their neighborhood is.
And eventually,
It's not-
you know,
not- may not be that.
if neighbor A, who's been paying all these years, finds out that neighbor B connected and they're not paying, unless you have some kind of family contact, you're gonna have the neighbors talking, and then that's gonna, that's gonna come.
well, if neighbor B has a sewer issue and neighbor A then starts screaming, then you know that
Yes,
neighbor A is
that
helping neighbor
happens,
B.
And people with shared wells, all of a sudden,
But at the same time, with our televising, I mean, that's something if we ever find a section you wanna put it in there, I mean, they can televise from the main right up the ladder nowadays. And you can find out if something's cross-connected or neighbors are sharing and.
Yeah, but I think through this process, that'll really narrow down
Right.
what those questions.
I
Exactly.
mean, it's not 100. It's not 15. It may be 5 or less, but it's still a fact of the matter going forward. It's nice to say you have 100%, but
I know I just had a vision of Joe knocking on people's doors
I got that.
with a 5-gallon bucket.
no, it's not me. It's called the plumbing inspector and we have a right to get on their property.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
anyone else have anything for Don?
There are people that say,
Last item I do have on there is the 2024 sewer televising. Was that approved, Kathy? By the village board?
Yes.
So I thought after the February meeting, you
We
said you were
approved it.
putting it on for,
We approved it in February at the committee.
yeah, Expeditors just emailed me asking if it was approved. I told them I'd check. Okay, okay. Otherwise, that's all I got unless there's any questions.
What were you gonna talk about the,
That sewer, the sewer service area, it's not on the agenda, but I did throw together a proposal after last meeting to do a study for the gravity sewer we looked at along Lisbon Road that would eliminate the force main from Richmond School, so.
well, can we can't talk about that tonight, right?
he's just giving you where he is on.
Can we ask any questions even though it's not on the agenda?
No.
Okay.
I do have a question about the reliefs in the Richmond line. Do we have an expected cost of what it would call to, recall what the cost was to install those? Cause remember we held off, we didn't move forward with anything.
I'd have to go back and look, I don't have it.
I guess what I'm getting at is not discussing what you just gave us, but, what is the cost comparison between those two? I'm still inclined to hold off on those reliefs. If this other direction is what we're trudging forward with.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look, see what those air relief valves cost. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's gotta be anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000, I would say.
One every 50 people.
No, there was a spot or two where they'd like to add one where they felt that there was gas getting caught. But,
We don't know if that would even solve the problem.
but
Right,
I understand what you're saying, though, and it's a valid thing, because we're gonna have to prove it. But we don't know if we put in 5, if that's gonna do any good.
right. I don't want somebody saying, why are you guys even looking at this if you could do this $10,000 project and put 5
Exactly right.
reliefs
Yeah.
in and solve our problem?
you know, even though Brabazon ran that test we were just talking about, I mean, that's not saying it's air and it's not saying it's the force main, that's just no longer 3 inch, it's an 1.5 inch diameter and you just know you got an issue there.
Any questions for Don? Sticking with the utility district, Mike, do you have any financial reportings?
No, there's nothing.
Didn't we have was that at the board meeting that we had a financial question come up about the utility? About, the grinder pumps? Did that get asked back to the financials?
Yeah, got the number, you got the number that we did and what the cost was for.
What the set aside we had for pumps? Okay. All right, anything more for utility? Moving on, 6A, discussion necessary action regarding possible sewer rate study and recommendation to the village board of the same.
So before the meeting, I had told Kathy, I got a couple examples here of an RFP to go out for, that. One's a pretty simple one that Germantown had done, and then there's another one that Fox Crossing had did that's probably pushing 25 pages. So, I mean, we could put together an RFP. I could have stuff back for the April meeting if that's the route you want to go. One thing I brought up to Kathy was Eller's your financial consultant. They do utility rate studies. So whether you would just want to get a price from them and look at utilizing them, or do you want to go the route of doing an RFP?
Depends on how much money it is.
Sure, you could probably call John and just ask him how much for it.
We'll bring something back for next.
Thank you.
Mark, you ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have anything on 6A then, right?
That was-
So no action on 6A, other than administrative. 6B, discussion necessary action regarding Richmond force main maintenance or replacement and recommendation of the village board is the same. I know we kind of
Touched on that.
touched on this at 2 different points. Do we have anything pointed that we need to take any action on at this point? To the board?
I don't believe so until we know what we don't know, and what we do know. We need information.
For next month, I can bring those costs back for those air relief valves, so we got them.
So we'll leave 6B to, I guess. I'll make a motion to table it to the April Public Works meeting.
Second.
Made by myself, seconded by Beal. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 4-0 passes. 7A, discussion and necessary action regarding bid award for 2024 pavement resurfacing program and recommendation to the village board of the same. Is Mitch presenting this or Donnie?
I have it, so in your package should be the recommendation letter for both the bid tab and the recommendation letter for the pavement maintenance project. The recommendation letter, he did, based on the way bids came in, recommended the base bid along with the alternates, but after talking with both Joe and then Nick, sounds like the village would like to go the route of just doing the base bid and then using the alternate money somewhere else. I think Mitch said what, High Road,
Is where this.
somewhere where you're gonna be doing more in the future.
The sewer lines are out High Road,
Oh, that's right on that one block,
Right.
correct.
so we wouldn't wanna do anything.
Well, Cordell Drive was the area where you're gonna do more paving down the road.
Yeah, there's other roads that.
Yeah.
Just down from there and they're all the same length. Why do that little one and not do the other one,
All
or
the
just
same
that type of thing, so.
Where are we as far as budget?
So the thought was do the base bid in terms of the paving and then use the 60,000 that would be saved for other type of crack sealing and other type of paving maintenance.
I had to look it up. Cordell's off of North Lisbon,
Mhm,
about a half mile east of Hillside.
mhm.
Got a good price on asphalt, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What was do you know what the budgeted number was for our 500?
That has to be with. engineering costs.
But does that 500 include crack sealing and whatever else we're going to do?
Separate.
That's a separate line item in the budget.
And Crack filling was in the operating budget.
Okay.
Maintenance of roads.
Well, if that's the case, then I would make a motion to award the contract to Payne and Dolan for the 2024 pavement resurfacing program in the amount of $369,550. Period.
Motion's been made. Anyone second that? Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? So just to clarify, alternate two, the Cordell we would hold off on.
Yes,
And High
that
Road.
was the motion.
Okay,
Just do the base bill.
Mhm.
all right. Motion is standing. Anyone have any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion is 4-0 for the base bid only. Right. Items to be placed on future agenda. Staff have any questions about what the committee recommended? Any additional?
How about the grinder pumps? Maybe, like Jane, we were just talking that we should maybe discuss that on the local level and recommend to the village board.
I think-
Already did that. I think we got one at the village board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought the village board, we asked the question to go back to committee and village board.
Oh, I know that, but don't we have to talk about it here on this level or no?
No, we didn't remand it back to the committee level, so the pleasure of the board was to keep it at.
Pretty clear it was gonna be handled entirely with the board.
Right.
And like I said, I don't know if I agree with that, but it is what it is.
Pick it up with the village board.
Yeah.
I will have to talk
Just
to my,
talk to those unreasonable people on the village board and get them to change
Yeah, what
their
the
mind
you know.
at the next village board meeting.
Uh-huh,
And that's what I heard sitting back there,
mhm.
but I was Ed that night, so it doesn't make any difference, I was just.
Yeah, sorry.
Don't worry about it.
I do it quite often.
I've been called a hell of a lot worse things than that.
I didn't even notice I did it until I looked up the front and the whole board was looking at me like, who's that? And then.
Mr. Ed, you see a TV program?
I worked with an Ed Everly.
Well,
Really?
I'm sure he's better than me. Okay,
Anything else?
No,
I think we need to have this source study on, I'm sure that's on your list.
Yeah, that'll stay, sewer rate studies.
Yeah. No, not.
Sewer
that,
service
the-
area
the
for-
Lippert Road Interceptor extension.
Right, any other ones? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion with your,
Motion's made by Ms. Beal, anyone? Second by Mr. Everly, and any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 4-0
4, 6, and 5.
and
Oh, this is a quick meeting tonight.
17:56.
Heck of a